What is it about the holidays that makes us automatically go to, I don't want to start stress eating, or I know about myself that I'm going to start stress eating? There is a lot that ties into this, but you can take back control. You don't have to go through the same patterns that you've gone through before. This can be a different experience this year. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. So, why do we stress eat? Well, because food is attached to our emotions. I don't care who you are or what your life experience is, you're going to have some emotional connection to the food choices that you make. You're going to have some kind of connection there between food and emotions, food and mood. All of that is really, it's wrapped up into basically the DNA of who you are. Your experiences to get you where you are now, those all come into play. So holidays past, perhaps you have some memories that are really great of a certain kind of cookie or pie or whatever it might be around an emotion that you experienced in holidays past. Now, at the same time, we can also try to feed our emotions, right? We miss spending time with loved ones. Maybe there's a person who is no longer in our world for whatever reason, and we miss that person, and there's a food or a food memory that's associated with that. Or the holidays, we know they can be a really sad and blue time for many, and it's kind of like the perfect storm for trying to eat your emotions away, right? So stress eating comes into play when we have things that we can't control and we're trying to use food to soothe. It also happens with the mindlessness, right? So there's so much going on. You have a to-do list that's as long as your arm, and the time that you have to do it in is so very short that food becomes an afterthought. Whether you're eating on the go or just grabbing whatever is quick, a lot of times we end up getting to the end of the year and it's all been a blur, including our food choices along the way, regardless of whether or not you were completely in the groove and doing everything the way that you had planned up until this point. This becomes a really hard time of the year for a lot of people. So, stress eating, while it's not unique to the holidays, it certainly seems a lot worse this time of year. So what exactly is stress eating or emotional eating? It's using food to fill a void. So it could be boredom, it can be anger, it can be sadness, it can be a need for attention. It could be a feeling that you crave that aren't getting. It could be so many things. So stress eating really comes into play when we have emotions, when we have things going on that we're not paying attention to, being present, right? Mindless eating, big portions. So one characteristic of stress eating or emotional eating is eating a lot of something. So Halloween time, eating all the Halloween candy before the trick-or-treaters get here, binging on food, having huge portions. Like think of Thanksgiving afternoon, right? Where you have to unbutton your pants and go lay down on the couch for a while. Or maybe it's just eating a lot of foods that you wouldn't normally choose as nutritious, right? So fast food, convenience foods, foods that really are one-sided nutritionally. So maybe eating a ton of carbs, you really focusing in on pasta for the season or whatever it might be. And stress eating also is characterized by a lot of just really poor choices altogether. So how do we get out of this rut? How do we get past stress eating? Do we actually have control over it? We really do have more control than we realize. And through these 3 steps, I'm going to tell you how you can take back control and how you can be more present and have less stress induced choices and more conscious choices, which is really the whole goal here, right? If you want to get through the season without stress eating, you have to be more present. You have to be more aware of the choices that you're making. So if you can do absolutely nothing else through the whole season, working on being present is going to be the first step. So limiting the distractions while you're eating, trying to do whatever's in your power to be fully present, even if it's 5 minutes or 7 minutes. You don't have to set aside a full hour for a meal. You don't even need a half an hour. For most people, a few minutes is more than enough to be present, let go of everything else, shut down the distractions, step away, and really focus on what it is that you're eating. When you start to become more present, you will notice that you're making different choices. You will notice that you feel how you are feeling when you're eating. You'll feel one way or another towards making a different choice the next time it comes up. So think of it this way. When you are walking through the halls at work and you are just grabbing candy on the way by, not paying attention, unwrapping, popping it, going to the next candy dish, unwrap, pop, keep going until you get to the other end of the building. Sure, you've gotten 1,000 steps or whatever it is, but how many candies did you eat on the way by? Instead, what if you stopped, said hi to the person who had the candy dish out, had a little interaction, and then kept going on your way? Maybe take one candy and then keep going on your way. So that's the difference between being not present and just eating, right, as a reaction, and being very present and having an experience that helps you to eat less. So the second piece to that is making intentional choices, okay? So by intentional choices, I mean just asking yourself simply the question, do I need this? Do I need to eat this food, and how is it going to serve me? It doesn't necessarily matter what the answer is. The important piece is asking the question, do I need this? Is it going to serve me? When you give yourself the opportunity to ask the question and make the choice, you're giving yourself control. The more control you feel like you have, the less likely you are to spiral and to then say, well, screw it. I screwed up for today. I'm just going to go willy-nilly for the rest of the day, right? So when you're actually making conscious choices, you have all of the control. It's not mindless anymore. You're not being spurred on by your emotions. You're actually taking back the choice. So between being present and making intentional choices, those two are a really good start. If you can, get yourself focused to the point where meal times are intentional, where you're eating meal, and it doesn't necessarily, in a perfect world, we're all eating a very well-balanced diet every single day, every single meal from Thanksgiving through January. But the reality is that that's not how it works. So at least trying to be present with what you can and being okay with it when it falls out of your control, but knowing that that choice was yours. You made that choice intentionally. The third step, and this one's a little bit harder, but remember, we're not about being perfect. We're just about doing what we can in the moment. So as often as possible, try to nourish your body, nourish your mind, and even soothe those emotions intentionally. So setting yourself up for good habits, taking a few minutes the night before to just go through your mental Rolodex of meals and what you're going to do for the next day. You don't have to set aside hours to meal plan. Just being aware and trying to do as good as you can, as often as you can, so that you're setting yourself up for success. For many of us, it's really easy to work on creating that very healthy breakfast and lunch because those are pretty consistent throughout the day. Most things around the holiday season don't happen early in the morning, so you have a little bit of extra time, or you can make it a little bit of extra time, right? And then if you're doing really well, if you're focusing on good habits for most of the time, then let it go when you're not. It's not the end of the world. If you had a really great, really nourishing breakfast and lunch was pretty decent too, and then you go out for happy hour and drinks with the girls, it's no big deal. Not the end of the world. You made the choice, you did what you could, and then you move on from that. So being present, being intentional, and trying to keep those good habits as often as possible is really how you stop stress eating before it even starts. Now, that is why every year, because I know it's so hard, it's hard to stay on track. And before you know it, 5 weeks has passed and now you're looking at your New Year's resolution, right? Now we're looking at, oh my gosh, what happened to the year? I don't even know what happened. So this is why I run the Merry Mindfulness Challenge, or some version of it, every single year. I think last year we called it Holiday Presents. So every year, some version of just helping you stay on track. We apply the mindful mindset method so that you have a structure for what to eat and when, so that you have that nourishing mindfully structure in place, so that on those times when you can't be mindful and you can't choose nourishing meals, you're okay because you did it most of the time. We learn how to limit temptations and what to do when those cravings strike and how to stop stress eating. We keep all that in the forefront, so we're thinking about it often. We're being very present. We commit to some mindful movement, so uplifting not only your mind and your body, but also your spirit, right? Because getting out and getting some movement is so good for the soul. It just makes you feel really good when you get some movement in. It doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to commit to 60 minutes of boot camp every day. If it's a 15-minute walk, cool. If you go ice skating with the kids, cool. Whatever it is, just moving, something to get your body moving. And then prioritizing you, because if you need to give more of yourself, you have to prioritize yourself first. So it might sound counterintuitive, but the more you take care of yourself, the more you have to give. And since telling you not to give more of yourself is definitely not a reality, let's get you set up so that you can give more of yourself this season. So exactly what's in the challenge, there are 5 weeks. So from November 15th through December 20th, and even, it'll carry you right through New Year's. But that 5 weeks, email check-in every single week, weekly theme with a lesson. So the first week, we're going to talk about food. The second week, we're going to talk about fitness and self-care and cravings. And so you see how that goes. And there's a theme lesson that is a video, very much like this. Or if you're really too busy, you can listen to it on a podcast while you're walking the dog or doing whatever it is that you're doing, washing the dishes, that lets you listen to things, right? There are affirmations to keep you focused and on track, group support, others just like you going through this. We all struggle with the holiday season. Trust me, I hear it all the time. It's why I do this, so that I can help more of you. And mindfulness practices, right? So some yoga, some meditation, whatever it is that kind of calls to you, right? And then as a bonus, you get a PDF printable journal that's going to help you keep organized and stay on track, write everything down. I'm a big fan of the journal. There's a 15-class yoga bundle, so 15 minutes of mindfulness. We'll talk about how you can work those in. And then there are 2 live planning parties this year. So the first live planning party is a holiday planning party where I am going to go live and I'm going to help you set yourself up for success. And then another live planning party at the end to get you set up for 2022 so that you are set on both ends. So that is the Merry Mindfulness Challenge. I'm going to be talking about it a ton because we are opening the cart very soon. If you're watching this in real time, the cart opens next week. If you're watching this recorded, the cart is going to open for this. You'll be able to get in on this starting with November 1st. So the Merry Mindfulness Challenge, it's 5 weeks of keeping you present, intentional, and taking care of yourself through the whole holiday season so that you don't need a New Year's resolution this year. All right, my friends, if you have questions, pop them down below, let me know, or reach out. I will put my email down there. You can always reach out and ask me your questions. I hope to see you in the challenge. Have a fabulous rest of your day.